You are listening to the Savage FINcast, episode 48, talking about Spawn, Malcolm, and Malcolm's Spawn.
Chicago. A criminal mastermind called Overlord held our city in his terrifying grip. Ordinary cops were losing the battle against Overlord's super freaks and mutants. Then, a miracle happened. When I found him, he had no memory of his past. I helped him find an identity and a life. Now we have a fighting chance. Now we have the dragon.
This is the Savage FINcast, the show that is a dog that scares itself with its own farts. I am Jim Purcell.
I'm Craig Olson.
I'm Raven Perez.
And
I'm Erik Larsen. In case you come a complete surprise here.
Yeah. Once again, we are blessed with the presence of Erik Larsen, deity, God.
That's right. I'm not going to argue that one.
Last time we talked, it was I think last July, so it's been a while. We got a lot to catch up on.
And Jim, isn't this sort of a special episode?
Numerically, yes. This is technically our 50th episode.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's officially episode 48, but we had like our 0 test episode, and there is a interview that we called 1.5, and so altogether we have 50 official episodes.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, we've been going strong since 2011 now.
Yeah. This will be our final episode, retiring, going out on top. Oh, no, I think we're going to keep doing this as long as we can.
Excellent.
Maybe long after you're gone, Erik.
That was a pretty good issue, wasn't it? I know he's gone and hasn't done the book. He's old and sad now.
Keep mine in the plastic to keep my tears off of it.
But of course, we brought Erik on because, like Craig said, we've got a lot to talk about. I mean, ever since we last talked, you've got on Spawn with McFarlane. Malcolm has taken over as lead character in Savage Dragon. Well, actually, I guess he kind of did that before, but
yeah,
he graduated from high school and has sort of become.
Yeah, a ton of stuff.
Yeah,
has happened.
and of course, the reintroduction of Ant is imminent sometime this year, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
So, a lot of stuff to talk about.
It's going to be a big ass interview. It's going to be good.
Let's start off talking about Spawn because we haven't talked to you since. You started.
Yeah, when you kicked off on Spawn 5 issues ago, we always kept saying we really should have Erik on to talk about this. And then 5 issues later, we should probably have Erik on to talk about this.
I can't believe it's been 5 issues already.
It is crazy that it's been 5 issues. It's been like 5-6 months.
Yeah, well, the weird thing is that, I mean, initially when I kind of was pitching to him about doing it, I was just supposed to be doing 1 issue.
Oh.
Which was the
kickoff premiere one?
Yeah, the very first one, whatever that one was. And then we had talked about me taking over as writing the book, and it was like, well, I was like, I'll start with, 263, you get that whole Satan deal out of the way, and then I'll come on board. And then he was like, why don't you just do that? Why don't you just draw that thing?
Oh, so you would have come in after.
That was sort of that's more his story than my story, that one.
I
Gotcha.
see.
So it was, I mean, we would talk it through, then I'd draw it, and then he would come in and just fuck with it. So, I mean, in a lot of cases, he's moving panels around, he's rewriting a lot of dialogue, he's really going to town on it, and it's kind of like, well, it's kind of your deal here, and it's kind of your story that you wanted to tell. So, in a way, I kind of feel like, all right, well, sure, fine, do it that way. But it's still,
what
it's still like infuriating, you know.
Are you giving him a script and rough pencils, and then he's making kind of like an editor, or how's the collaboration kind of done?
I kind of draw the thing like issue 86 of Savage Dragon, where I just kind of did it outline wise. So I'm sitting there drawing it with a Pentel rolling writer.
Mm-hmm.
And so what had happened, I did a fill-in issue some years back. I did issue 199, and I just penciled it and scanned it in and sent him JPEGs of that, and then he inked it on the Cintiq.
Right.
But the thing that sucked about that was that's what I ended up with was just pencils. So I had these penciled pages. It was never inked. It was never looked finished in any way. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of wanted let me just do it finish wise. I'll send him something that's inked, but it'll just be inked, you know, with a marker or something. So it's not as labor intensive as inking Savage Dragon generally ends up being. And then, you know, take it from there, and at least when I'm sending it to him. So sometimes he'll keep a bunch of the stuff that I put down on it and just add to it. And then sometimes he'll wipe it out entirely and do whatever the hell he wants to do. So it just kind of depends. It varies somewhat from page to page.
Cool.
It's a weird process. And then script-wise, I script it entirely, send it to him, and he just treats it as though it's liner notes. Mm-hmm. And he in many cases, there's a lot of what you read is just him.
Gotcha.
So. It's funny because when I was reading through the caption heavy, like Spawn's like really caption heavy.
Yeah.
And it's kind of doesn't even read like, you know, like stuff you would write. Like it kind of sounds different.
Yeah, it's pretty different. I'm curious to see how things go now that we're getting into the regular stuff, you know. So we'll see.
So you were saying it seemed like McFarlane kind of had the story, the Satan Saga War story kind of already kind of in his mind, and that was kind of his baby. And you're saying you were supposed to come in after this with the next issue that's going to come out. Is the story going to be more of your story on the next issue?
Well,
or is it still...
you know, we'll see when we get there. I see it in print like everybody else.
Okay, so you don't even know the changes until...
I don't know the changes until it's too late for me to do anything about it. Yeah,
that seems wild. Why do you guys do that?
I don't see the inks. I don't see anything. It's just when I get my comps, I'm like, holy fuck, what do you do?
I have an acquaintance who writes scripts for Hollywood, and that sort of thing sort of happens all the time with like stuff he sells.
Yeah.
Whoever, you know, the actual producer is will just do whatever on the actual shoot.
Yeah.
So it is kind of similar in that respect, in that you send it to McFarlane, and ultimately he has final say over what it's going to, you know, show in the final product.
Yeah.
I just find it wild. I just thought it was more of a collaboration. You go back and forth, you turn it in and it just comes. It seems crazy to me that, you know,
yeah,
it just comes back changed.
I mean, early on, I was pestering him more so I could just see it, you know?
Yeah.
So I just be like, I just want to see what the hell you're doing here. And so I would, I got sent some of his inks fairly early on, but it would be kind of, he was midway doing it, like I'm working on this page, but I'm not done with it.
Yeah, and you were posting some of those on Facebook.
Yeah, I posted some of it. But at this point, it's far enough in it where it's just like, you'll see it.
Yeah. I think the art collaboration it's really cool to see. I mean, I do enjoy seeing his inks over your stuff. It brings back some memories and some of the, you know, Marvel collaborations and stuff like that. And
yeah, it's interesting, and it's also just kind of cool to go, well, where would he have? What would he do with this? And I'm always curious what the hell it's going to look like when I'm sending it off. Like, is this going to Beast still be here?
Yeah.
or where's this going? And you can go in any number of directions with stuff. So it's interesting. The first issue, I think there was kind of a learning curve with that one, and it seemed kind of spotty. Like there'd be places where the inks were where the lines got really thick, and there's others where the lines got so skinny that you could barely see them.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think just that first issue, he kind of got a pretty good idea of what was going to happen and how it was going to change.
Yeah, I think it really shines when you get those double page spreads, and I imagine you're giving him more of a rougher version. He's just kind of doodling his little ink lines all in there.
I draw the double page spreads somewhat bigger than I do the single pages, so my line is, because I'm using the same pen on both. My line is a little thinner on that, so generally on the spreads, more of what I did ends up being in print.
Right.
Just luck of the draw or whatever, but that's how that works.
Is he still finishing on a Cintiq?
Yeah, it's all in a Cintiq.
Okay.
So all the original art is entirely my stuff. So it's a little different. And then the covers, I'm doing the same size as I do Savage Dragon covers, so those are all gigantic. all twice that.
It's cool, and FCO's colors are they're great. I love his stuff.
Yeah, he's good. I mean, it's just the whole thing. It's interesting to see a different take on stuff, because at this point I've been working with Nico's long enough that I kind of have an idea of what to expect. And then when you're working with another colorist on something else, you don't really know what they're going to deliver. So it's just interesting to go, oh, okay.
The one thing I noticed that he seems to do a lot is put like blood splatters over top of the line work. I'm not sure if that's like good or bad.
Yeah, whatever. Do what you want, guys.
How did you prepare for this? I mean, did you go, I don't know if you've been reading Spawn all along, or did you go back and read the past, 200 plus issues, or?
Yeah, I don't have the back 200 plus issues. I've got the real early ones that Todd was drawing, and I've got them up through Angel Medina when he was doing it. I was kind of on the book and off the book. It just depends. I'm kind of an art guy.
Yeah.
So if the art I don't like, I just can't read them.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's this period on there where he had somebody else doing the book, and he had some other writer doing the book, which Todd didn't even like, as it turns out. He backed way the hell off on it, where he was just like, oh, just let this guy do what he does. See what this is all about. And he was with his toys, and then he's like, God, these guys haven't even read my book. Like they were doing something else entirely on it, and had contradicted a bunch of stuff, and it didn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. So when Todd came back on it, he was just like, welcome. Didn't pay any attention to what they were doing on the book. And it was like, all right, well, that's one way of doing it. Okay, sure.
And I think that run, if I believe it, that was like the one where the art was real photorealistic and real kind of stiff.
Yeah,
that.
Gotta say, I was not a fan of it. I haven't read any of them, so I can't comment on the story. But I just as an art thing, I was just like, this isn't what I'm into.
Right. And then it seemed like he swung, like right before your kind of run on it, he kind of swung the other way, and the artist before you was more of like seemed like a Ryan Otley style almost. It was real kind of.
It wasn't that to me. The last 50 issues from 200 to 250, I wasn't a fan of that stuff either. So again, it was a situation where I'm like, I'm not really that into this.
Yeah.
And then also he had somebody else be Spawn during that time.
Right.
That was with Portatio, right? That
was before that.
All right.
Wilson did it like around 180, I think. Because I know when I came on and did that fill-in on 199, that Wills was off the book by that point.
That was new Spawn that you drew in 199.
Jim Downing, I think.
Yeah, the Jim Downing Spawn.
I know. I call him White Spawn.
Yeah, well, you should.
Blonde and everything.
Yeah, well, it was during the white period.
So
this whole arc has been just fucking insanely kick-ass. I mean, just the action, the visuals. I mean, it's just been like, I don't know. It's felt like 5 issues of a fight scene. It
has been. It's been fun to work on, and just doing the demon stuff. It's fun just visually to draw that sort of thing, and story wise, what I was afraid of going into it was it's just going to be these 2 guys slugging it out for 5 issues in a row. That's way too much of the same thing over and over and over again. So just as a guy sitting there plotting it out, I just like, all right, it's got to be switch this thing up constantly. It's got to be this over here and then this over here and then cut back to this and over here, just so it doesn't seem like 2 dudes in a room doing the same thing over and over and over again. And then bringing in God, that was me kind of going, hey, let's do it this way. So there's a fair amount of back and forth in terms of what was going to go on in the book and story wise where things were heading with that. It's a definitely weird collaboration. And too much. I would have liked to have had there be more stuff where he had written stuff down, and less we're going to mention this on the phone, and then you're going to go and forget it completely. That's sort of the, it's like I need a paper trail, man, because
email.
You want something in here specific, and then you're not putting it down on paper, and you're expecting me to remember it, and I got a lot of other stuff that I'm trying to keep track of.
That's one thing I do professionally all the time. I never talk over the phone. It's always anything that you want done, put it in email so you can point back to it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and especially when you can get the other guy and just go, look, you said this on this day.
Right.
It's like, yeah, that's right. I'm probably a liar.
Tell you what, though, 262 really tied it up pretty well. We were talking about this yesterday, and my personal feeling, I thought it went on a little long with the battle and everything. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the artwork, but I was a little hesitant of how it was going to end, and there was a lot that happened in the last issue that I thought you guys pulled it off. I thought it was cool.
Awesome. Yeah,
it was really.
There was definitely concerns going into all this. How is this going to work? How are we going to pull it off? And there's stuff Todd and I talking back and forth on it, and I'm sitting there going, look, man, this has got to be a definitive ending to this, because what we don't want, because Todd was going, we've been doing hell stuff forever.
Yeah.
I want to just have there not be a bunch of hell stuff after this, and not have them be tied in with hell constantly. I want to move to the next chapter of this guy.
Right.
And I was like, look, man, you can't leave, because initially he was like wanting to just leave Wanda in hell. And I'm like, there's no fucking way that the readers are going to be going, okay, when's he going back to hell to get Wanda out
again?
It's just going to happen, because you can't just leave her in this terrible place and expect, even if she's patting him on the back and said, go be the hero that I think you ought to be, or whatever. It's like, there's just no freaking way.
I'm so glad that didn't happen.
Yeah, I'm super stoked that you've tied this up so well, that you've taken Hell and Wanda off the plate, and the super-powered Spawn, and now you've got this clean break to do whatever you want.
Yep.
And really, that's really, I think, I know it's funny to say it, but I mean, I am just not the biggest Spawn fan, and it's kind of that thing is like 200 issues later, and it's like, oh, Spawn's still fighting the devil, which is just kind of how, I don't know, it's hard to get enthusiastic when like 200 issues of Dragon, fucking a million things have happened. And so it's like, it's awesome. Just, it really was cool to sort of, it did read like closing the book on all that shit you think about Spawn. And then it really is sort of like, damn, where can this go next? It's exciting.
Yeah, well, it can go, at this point, it's like, oh, it can go anywhere. You can do whatever the hell you want to with it.
I personally found it interesting that 258 issues on, Spawn is still hung up on Wanda. And that was like the first thing in the first issue that like caused everything to start rolling.
Yeah. It's like, dude, come on, get over it.
I just remember, yesterday we were talking about this and how excited we are for this new direction. I think I'm echoing everyone else here. Like I kind of picked up Spawn here and there. It depend on, I think, like you said, Eric, who was on the art and if a certain issue grabbed me. And really, there hasn't been an issue that grabbed me. I picked it up when I was a young kid in the 90s, and then I think I picked up your issue. I picked up Portacio's issues because I wanted to see what he was going to do, and then it didn't last more than 5 or 10 issues on each, and I'm just super excited to see his new direction. It looks like you're bringing back his old costume. It kind of echoes back to the past, but yet has got this whole different thing going on.
I wanted to get rid of that big fucking...
You got rid of the boot. You're the national hero, Eric.
The boot was just like, damn man, is this guy in a skiing accident or something? What the hell?
Everyone hated the boot. I've never met anyone who's like, hey man, that boot kicks ass.
Yeah, the cool boot that he's got. Can't believe you're getting rid of the boot. It's so awesome.
Doesn't it have ties to Angelina? And
who?
Whoever.
Angela,
whatever she's called.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's just a stylistic thing, and
it's just at one point it's like, oh, I know characters getting new costumes is a big deal, so let's do that. And it's just, dude, you already played that one.
Is the mouth going away?
The mouth is gone.
Sword's gone too.
The mouth is gone. The tongue is gone.
And it seems like, so if I don't know if you want to let this out or anything, but it looks like he's got a little kind of piece of chain, and that's what he's going to hold on to change into his suit or something. Is that?
Well, it's essentially he kept a bit of the costume, so he's still got he'll still have a costume basically.
Gotcha. But the shortest chain attack of all time.
No, but it's not like, does he need to hold on to that little bit to change, kind of like Green Lantern's ring or something like that, or?
It can change into whatever. So
yeah.
So he's, when he comes out of hell, he's wearing ripped underpants. So at least he was when I drew it. Well, we'll see. Be a big surprise.
The pouches better remain. I want pouches.
So that guy can do whatever he wants.
And I guess that's the thing of it, though. It is McFarlane's creation, so
it's just very different kind of collaboration than I'm used to.
Yeah.
Is it
just in terms of Marvel and stuff? When I was working there, it would be, we're hiring you because we want you to be writing this thing. Whereas working with Todd, it's like, yeah, it's still going to be me doing the final say on this, and I'm going to make some changes. It's like, holy crap, man, are you ever? It's like, there's more writing corrections on a page than there was in the rest of my career put together.
Oh.
It's like, that's crazy.
I wonder if this is how he, handles all of his artists previously.
Well, I think that's probably
writers.
Why there hasn't been writers that have stayed on for a long time, because invariably they go, why am I here? Why don't you just do this yourself? And I don't know, maybe Todd just doesn't want to let it go or whatever. It's kind of does seem kind of a strange way of doing things, but it's resulted in comics that people seem to respond to in some way or another. So what the hell?
How have you found, if you have, feedback from kind of the typical Spawn fan? I mean, as us, we're Dragon fans. We like your stuff. We're gonna like it. I pretty much think we're gonna, it's a given. But how are the Spawn fans?
All I know is that sales have are on the upswing. But in terms of, I don't get any mail. It's not. I don't get. It's not. I'm not part of that.
Yeah.
That thing. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like
because
okay.
it is kind of a big kind of shot. And especially with this new direction, it seems like with the solicitations, it's becoming more of a kind of like a superhero comic in a way. I mean, you're getting
Well, there's definitely that. I mean, I'm tossing in all kinds of supervillains doing supervillainy stuff. So there you go.
Yeah.
It's like this isn't what it had been. And also, it's like as soon as we're out of there, it's not 4 and 5 part stories anymore. It's like, let's do a bunch of 1-part stories where we just get this character in, get him established, next guy, bring them in, get that established, next one.
How is that with McFarlane? I mean, this is a huge radical change. Like, and I mean, with your talks with him, and we've seen the solicitations. I mean, there's going to be Malcolm's going to be in the book, so it's going to be like an Image Universe kind of crossover.
Yeah.
Has he been pretty acceptable to? I mean, obviously,
it's been all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the thing is, I'm kind of on here just to establish just the general. Okay, this is where I think he ought to be. This is where I think he ought to be. His home life should be this. He goes here and does that, and I'm not sitting here going, this is a book I'm going to be doing forever.
Right.
It's kind of, and that's what I thought I was doing on Supreme, is just kind of going, look, this is where all the pieces are. Take it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then nobody took it. At least on Spawn.
Yeah, you'll know
I
it will go
pretty
on.
good idea that once I'm off, it'll continue.
Unless you do absolutely horrible and tank the whole.
Yeah, unless I tank it. That hasn't been happening. If that was if that was the plan, it's failing.
No, but I mean, we're stoked for some of those future issues just by the covers. Some of the villains that you're introducing, it's pretty neat.
Spider King looks badass.
Yeah.
The mummy guy, what was his name? He looked neat. It's
cool.
cool.
It'll be all right. I'm looking forward to it, and then onward and upward kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
I did bring up to Raven yesterday that the little kind of touch up you did with Al's kind of hairline to make the little devil horns, that was deliberate, right? I mean,
yeah.
It's so neat.
I just thought, if we're gonna, it's what I look for when I'm drawing characters and in character design in general is having there be some kind of a visual hook where you can see their silhouette or you can see something about them. You go, oh, I immediately know which character we're talking about.
Yeah.
And the problem with having your lead character simply be, oh, he's a handsome black guy, it's like, that's really not enough.
Yeah. It's a lost art. I mean, you see that in a lot of the older comics and stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's like Clark Kent would have his hair back, and you would wear the same suit every goddamn month. Billy Batson had 3 curls of hair across his forehead, and he wore that red pullover forever.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of those characters would have common colors even, where it's just like I'm constantly wearing a blue suit with my yellow sweater vest. And
Sandman with his green shirt.
Yeah.
And
you just would immediately go, oh, okay, I know who that is. That character's got that distinctive haircut. If his shadow's falling on the wall, he has a distinctive shape of him. I mean, Spawn doesn't have that other than when he's in costume. He does, but I mean,
it's true. I mean,
you gotta try and do that. I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's true though. There's a lot of those. It's just a lost art. I mean, guys like Reed Richards with the little gray on the side, or Norman Osborn and stuff. You don't see characters that distinct anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can fall into that thing of just having everybody have the Steve Rogers comb over, where they just look the same. You know, there was this scene at one point where you had Steve Rogers and Hawkeye and some other blonde guy, and we're all just hanging out, talking with one another, and it's like, man,
Who's who?
it's not enough here to really differentiate these three dudes. You know, I think Henry Pym was the other one. It's like,
Yeah.
geez, you're three clean-shaven, handsome blonde guys with giant square jaws all hanging out together. It's just not a good idea.
Like Hitler's dream.
Yeah.
The Al
Cool.
Simmons devil horns were a nice touch. I thought I was reading too much into it, and Craig was like, "No, that was intentional." I was like, "Damn, it's good. Good stuff. Smart."
God.
Hopefully it stays.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, you know, because it can go anywhere when you get the next guy too, you know. 'Cause
Yeah.
you can just decide, well, my version of this guy is like this, and it's like, well, whatever, you know. But I keep trying to have these conversations with people where you go, you know, even if you're not drawing in my style, I don't expect you to draw in my style. It should at least seem like we're both trying to draw the same dude.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? Nobody's sitting there going, well, what? My Barack Obama's fat. Well, what's wrong with that? It's my style. It's like, no, you know, you can't have a huge muscular Barack Obama or a huge fat Barack Obama. We're drawing the same dude here.
Well, that happens all the time with Dragon when people draw him 8 feet
Oh,
tall.
yeah. It's like, yeah, it's like now that Dragon doesn't have his powers, he finally looks like the way other people have been drawing him.
It's so true, though. So I think we've well, you know, one thing with Spawn, I mean, how far should we expect you to go on that? You know, do you think you're going to be going further than what you've solicited, or less than that? Or
I don't expect that it'll be a huge long run. You know, I kind of came into it going, you know, give me a year on it and see how long I can stand it, kind of thing. But
Right.
I'm sitting there, you know, planning for what's after it. And if things are going swimmingly on it, we'll keep going a while longer. And if, you know, it's a huge pain in the ass, then it's like, all right, we don't have to do this forever.
That's
So
cool.
it's just going to depend on the way it rolls out. But in the meantime, that's not keeping me from making ant plans and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you have like what, at least 5 more issues solicited or covers, kind of Spawn that I've seen.
Yeah. At this point, I've drawn covers up through 266, I think.
Wow.
So, and 262 is the new issue. So, yeah, there's a few.
And so you're right now you're cranking out 2 full comics a month. That's pretty intense.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, it is at the same time, you know, the Spawn stuff, because it's being drawn standard comic book size and not twice up.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'm doing it with that open style, it just goes somewhat faster. So, but I mean, really, if you just go by the number of days in a month, it's like there's you know, generally 30 days in a month.
Yeah.
That just means in 10 of those days, if you're working every goddamn day, you know, 10 of those days you have to do 2 pages a day.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's not impossible by any stretch of the imagination, you know. And
No, but
I've had Spawn days where I've done 5 pages, so it's like, all right, that makes things go a little quicker.
yeah, no, but it's intense though, because you're writing both pretty much, or at least
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
so you've got to come up with your story too in that time. And I mean, it just seems like it's, you know, in days of old, I know Jack Kirby was pumping them out,
Yeah.
but these days, you know, you're lucky if you get somebody to write and draw and get 6 issues a year. So it's you know, hats off to you. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I saw somebody who was like, I don't know of anyone else matching your productivity. And I tried to think when I saw that, and I was like, No, who the hell else? Like, I really can't think of anyone. Or am I just not thinking hard enough?
I don't know. I know. I don't know. Maybe I'm not. I'm not seeing everything, so I don't know. I know Mark Bagley's capable of going pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Just as a pencil guy, but he's, I mean, it's just a different situation because I'm inking stuff too, and I'm scripting it. So.
But it is pretty wild to think, back in the 60s or 70s, you had that seemed like more the norm, for some of those guys that could do that, and now it's like you're the only one left.
That was the job, man.
Yeah.
It's weird, but and there's a lot more distractions now, and there's a lot more stuff that people are going. Well, part of my job is being on Twitter and responding to people and doing this and that. And it's like, well, that's an awful lot of time.
But there's also things now, you would think maybe people could pump them out faster. You got email, you can, email a page and digitally ink it and not wait for mail, and you know, it's crazy. It's pretty crazy. I think it's
who says Twitter's part of my job? That's a load of horse shit. I'm sorry. You could do that from your phone on the toilet. That's come on. Come on.
Yeah.
Get it done, guys.
So I've got a Spawn question really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Was that octopus in that first issue?
Yes.
Nice.
Okay.
Are there? So we saw Octopus, we saw God, which was kind of a nod to the Savage Dragon God.
Yeah.
Are there
that I traced off too.
Yeah, it kind of looked like you did. Because you wanted to look as much like the original as possible.
Yeah.
Because that was the whole point.
Yeah.
And that's
I was
neat
stoked to see God.
Yeah. Was there any
stuff? There was not. I can't recall there being anything else where I stuck anything in. I mean, John Day was in the first issue. He was just one of the dudes, but it's like that just seemed weird to have a guy with glasses and a suit hanging out in subsequent issues. So it's like, all right, I'll just have it.
He was probably like a lawyer in hell,
Todd Pye was sticking Peter David in there. It's like, I wasn't actually supposed to do that.
I actually, after I saw the octopus character, I think I looked at every single demon and tried to be like, is that this guy that died in Savage Dragon? Is that this guy? But no.
Did you make up Lust and Greed and those dudes, or were those previous Spawn characters?
There was somebody.
Hellion. There was Hellion.
There's a couple that were Todd. Hellion is mine.
I think Lust was previous because she said something about getting her hand taken off.
Yeah, that one was in the very previous run, and she had some big dopey dude that was her friend or minion or whatever the hell he was. So he was shoved in there. I don't have the issue in front of me, or I'd go this guy. But I think mostly that was me using guys that had been in there. I mean, Hellion was really the only one that was really like, okay, this is completely me.
Yeah.
Too bad we were confused that he was Satan for a while there.
Oh, I think that was a Fountainhead moment, though, Jim. I don't. I went back and read it today. It read pretty clear.
Yeah, I haven't read the new issue yet, so I'm not sure what goes on.
So, shall we move on to Savage Dragon? Because we had a lot to talk about. There's a lot to happen.
This is a big deal.
Yeah, I wanted to real quick just go over. So we last talked with Erik about 204 back last summer. So I just want to go real quick, a sentence about each kind of arc since then, just because it's pretty amazing. So from issue 205 to 206, we had Malcolm's prom and his high school graduation. From 207 to 208 is one of the coolest arcs in the book. It was the Angel, Dragon, and Glum kind of revisitation with lots of death. Angel dies, Rex dies, Glum is captured. We find out that Angel Murphy's mom, Jennifer, is alive. 209 and 210, Malcolm and Maxine get hitched and they go on a honeymoon, and Tierra's killed by the birth of Dragon's baby. And then 211 and 212, Dragon joins the Force, and Maxine goes into labor, and he's going to have a kid. And the thing I was telling the guys before we recorded is more happens in 1 year of Savage Dragon than in 50 years of a Marvel comic. I mean, look at Spider-Man, you know. I mean, how long did it take him to get through high school, college? His girlfriend died, and he got married. That was like in 50 years, and that just happened in like 7 issues of Dragon right there. It's pretty amazing. But what a year.
It's crazy as shit when you think about it.
Yeah. Well, there is that. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was I got to get this done before whatever, and just lining it all up. I mean, Malcolm and Maxine had sort of been committed early on when he was still in high school. He was, I think, probably a sophomore in high school. She was giving him my parents said you'd never marry me, and he's like, I'll totally marry you, sort of thing. So it's like, all right, well, that's as close as we got to a proposal. Mm-hmm. And it just seemed like, you know, it's kind of inevitable anyway to go with this. So, yeah, what the hell?
Yeah. Tell you, 207 and 208 is some of the best Savage Dragon comics. That's got to be the most craziest superhero sex scene ever. Do you ever just draw this and just kind of like hide it while you draw? I know you do draw in coffee shops. Do you ever just
it does feel awkward at times. You just have to be strategic about it. Okay, where am I working on this particular page? And jeez, all right,
keep screwing on a pile of corpses.
This one from the kids, kind of thing.
Me and Jim were saying it was like we wondered, you know, the whole what like was there some gullible sap who before that page flip was like, wow, somebody's really taking a pounding.
Yes, they are.
Some gullible like fool. Because as soon as I read it, my mind's in the gutter. As soon as I read it, I was like, oh. Like instantly knew.
All right. Well.
The pile of corpses still shocked the shit out of me, but everything else, I was like, oh shit, this is happening.
I knew, but at the same time, I was completely shocked and surprised.
Oh yeah.
I had to look both ways before I flipped the page.
Okay, who's in the room?
Does your wife ever walk by and just be like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Not a lot. No, she doesn't really pay that much attention, which is kind of cool, you know. I mean, I used to have relatives who kind of paid attention to what I was doing over here, and it's like, I like it a lot better when you don't.
Yeah.
Kind of feel like I can just do whatever the hell.
Yeah, I got it.
I had a coworker. I had that issue at work. And I wasn't even thinking. It was just laying out. And he takes his lunch break and he's flipping through it. So this is the first he's ever seen. And he's like, looks at me and he's like, my God. I was like, it's a good book. You should read it. It was his first exposure to anything. He was like, what are you reading? I was like,
Yeah, it's not usually.
Alien midget sex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was awesome, though. It was so cool.
Well, thanks, man.
It was such a great 2 kind of issue arc that kind of just dealt a lot of surprises.
Yeah, it was a little weird. I was kind of apprehensive going into it because, you know, when I solicited it, the thought was, well, there's going to be a fight. And then that fight is going to continue. I wasn't thinking, I'm just going to do a whole issue set entirely in Dimension X, and Malcolm's only appearance is going to be on the last page, which is essentially the cover revisited. So that was a little like, oh geez, how is this going to go over with people in general? You know, if you're a reader of the book, geez, you just gave this book to this guy. He just started starring in it, and you've already got an issue where he's not in it at all. The hell, man.
Yeah, but I think the Angel Glum dynamic was something that a lot of people were interested in. You had the backup stories in 200, and
Yeah.
I think also the kind of someone did a story in the Twisted Dragon Funnies. I think that was that where it was about their kind of relationship, and that was kind of intriguing and interesting, even though I don't know if it was in canon or not. But
Yeah, I never.
you know,
I don't think it's canon, but whatever.
yeah. It's still cool. It's like, you know, what the hell are they doing in Dimension X? You know, she's in a relationship with this little tiny little dictator guy, and
yeah, well, and also you don't really know what is the extent of their relationship. I mean,
right.
Kind of was the
We
first
do now.
that we saw that at all. It was like, oh, okay.
Malcolm called it.
Hell no.
Dimension X is such a cool place. I love, you know, those stories. I love the Awesome Eater. It's such a cool visual. It was neat to have him back, that creature back, and even what
I will say this that we're not done with Dimension X. So
Oh yeah.
there will be more.
Of course, there's the mother of all, like, you know, plot threads, just sitting in a tube in Dimension X.
It's true. That's true.
So never forgotten that.
And the cool thing about that story is that, you know, you had the deaths, but I think the most intriguing thing is that you've made Glum super pissed off. Like, he's, you know, you've just killed the only thing that he cares for. He's going to be an insanely evil villain, at least in my mind, when he's finally free.
Well,
you know?
Are we going to get a trial of Glum?
It'll be touched on. It's not going to be like the Trial of Dragon where I did a real trial.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like it's just way more.
It bogs it down a little bit.
Yeah, it bogs it down, and it's like he is a villain. He's not the main guy, and how much of that do you want to have in there? And I mean, I would suppose both Dragon and Malcolm would have to
Testify.
show up and testify. Yeah. So there's a bit of that.
So I don't.
How does he get a fair trial?
That's
given
true.
that he took over the fucking world, and then, you know, it's like,
Also, he's not American.
yeah. But what are you going to deport him?
Back to Dimension
they
X.
went
where's
all the
Web-
way-
The Hague. Send him to the Hague.
They went there to get him, so you know, they wanted him out of there so they could bring him to justice.
He's in Stronghold?
I would assume so.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, he's not super powerful in terms of his just physical ability. I mean, we had him in that issue where he and Dragon fought in jail, and it's like, and he didn't win. So
And Dragon was a wuss. then.
But you can't really toss a guy like that in the general population prison either. Just because he's an alien.
yeah,
Says
I would think. I mean, maybe he's. I mean, we haven't seen him. We haven't flashed on that, so I guess that's put that on the to-do list.
I
And so
do want to see him in an orange jumpsuit, though.
He does have an orange jumpsuit in 208. He's in jail.
Oh,
Yeah, he's in jail, so he's got the jumpsuit going on for sure. Rocking that.
And so the Jennifer is. So did Glum steal that from Dark Lord, or is that what was implied there?
Presumably, Dark Lord's got stuff that's going into and out of. Dimension X is sort of this portal thing that people kind of use as a super highway of getting from one place to another in a kind of cheap and easy way.
Yeah.
you can hop between dimensions, but not time.
Yeah. It's like, I can just store a bunch of people over here in Dimension X, and fuck, who's going to discover
And
that?
then when your Earth blows up, you're still okay.
You're all right.
So did they break into Dark Lord's base, or is that in Glum's headquarters or whatever?
I would. We're in 208.
Yeah, at the end with the little toad.
The end where.
Yeah, that's not Dark Lord's base. That he took her.
Oh, gotcha.
So, yeah.
And just to clarify, that's the mother of the angel that's still alive.
Yes.
Gotcha. And that angel is the one from.
That is Jennifer Murphy as opposed to Jennifer Dragon.
So that's the one that's the one we last saw in like issue 74, right? Fighting Dragon.
Yes.
75
would be the last issue.
75, right?
Cool.
So.
Yeah, so that was major. That a lot happened in those few issues, which are just mind blowing.
Yeah, that's the thing is like it's just like one like crazy like status quo shake up after another.
I do gotta wonder what her presence would like, how that would shake the book up. It's kind of interesting because it is kind of.
Well, she's got superpowers and he doesn't.
That's true.
At this point,
plus he also married her doppelganger. That's got to be awkward.
Yeah, but at least shows some commitment.
I'm with your twin sister, baby.
This is how desperate I was.
And after all that, we got the kind of the settle down issue, the marriage issue, which I think this is like your third wedding issue in Savage Dragon. But they're always neat to see the cast interactions.
Yeah, well that too was like I don't know that I've done a full wedding that was like a real full wedding, like
with the whole issue
stuff that happens in a wedding. I mean, there's certainly more to it than that, and more words are actually said. There's vows are longer and more complex and all that sort of stuff.
Fewer fight scenes.
but yeah, I mean there was no fight scene in the issue at all.
That's true. Is that
just there was like this is just a straight up wedding and the intrigues of being at a wedding,
Kept waiting for the other shoe to drop on the Maxine's parents, like hiring like the Dragon Slayers out of storage.
They didn't even talk.
Yeah, part of it is like they're still normal people, It's like would normal people be hiring somebody, some fucking superpowered hitman? It's like no,
probably not.
Yeah, probably not. It was. I mean, that was just kind of me doing Janie and my getting married. I mean, her parents were not too into the idea of me being part of the picture, and then it was like, well, once kids showed up, then it was like, fuck,
more accepting.
What are we gonna do about this?
Guess this makes it real.
Yeah.
He does what? He draws cartoons for a living?
We thought he wasn't ever going to pop the question. I had no idea that it would come to this. Oh, well. Sorry to disappoint, folks.
Is 209 the first issue of Savage Dragon where there isn't a fight in it?
No.
I don't recall.
Another one, 27.
Really?
27 didn't have it. That was the one where Rapture proposed to Dragon, and there was no fight in there. The only thing was that Chelsea Nirvana slapped her dad, who was in the hospital bed. That was the only action in there, but I wouldn't call that a fight.
I love how you can remember all this.
Yeah, it's excellent.
I mean, I know you wrote it, but
I was like, holy shit, pretty good. Like, how long ago has that been? That's nuts.
That was a long time ago, but it was. I mean, it's kind of an exception because there was no fight in it.
Yeah. I love the Thunderhead character. I love the fact that he kind of fills the void of a Roughneck in a way, to speak, because he's like a good Roughneck, because Roughneck was the kind of character that he was always trying to do like just normal things, and just being a freak kind of got in the way, and he was always reminded that he was a freak. And you kind of have that with Thunderhead in a way. He's always just trying to be a normal guy, but he's got a skull for a face. And I just love how everyone's like, "Oh, looking good, Kevin. You clean up well." And it's like, dude's got a skull for a face, but
Got no lips.
chicks love him.
The no lips part has got to be the worst part.
Well, he's got his dad's deal where he basically has invisible skin.
Oh, so he
Yeah,
does
so you
have
just can't
lips.
see it.
He has invisible lips.
Oh, that's not
Right.
so bad then. He can get
yeah,
the smooch on.
because otherwise it's like he wouldn't be able to pronounce certain words.
Anything.
It would just pronounce, because you need lips to do some of that stuff.
Well, that's not so bad then. You should put
Yeah,
lips
I mean, why there would be perfect cartoon lightning bolts on his head?
on his skull.
Yeah, on his skull is like, that's.
Coincidence.
It's not probably not strict realism going on here,
Because comics.
because yeah, whatever.
Because
What do
it
you
looks good.
What do you want from me?
I love how Super Patriot just keeps his mask on through the whole wedding. Oh, man, take the mask off.
He doesn't
I
actually
want to
look-
show people that he's all tearing up.
What, under his ocular implants?
He's just like, oh, it's so touching and so beautiful.
Yeah, he actually looks pretty, good without a mask on. So it is kind of surprising that he did keeps it on so much.
It's probably me just fucking up.
Yeah.
It happens so frequently. It's like, we didn't show him eating, so.
And you got to constantly tease us with these Johnson twins. You
Oh,
need to
yeah.
know their deal 20 years from now.
One's ugly and one's not.
Hell no.
Oh, he's kind of growing into his ugliness.
He's got to be okay with it. He's been ugly his whole life.
Should
Whatever, what am I gonna
Reform
do?
Uglies Unlimited.
That's
Just- Well, some of that stuff too, you gotta wonder what's the reaction to widows' kids when they're walking around?
They got no noses.
Although in comic book terms they're kind of cute, in reality terms they would be like, what the?
the
Hey,
fuck?
it's like seeing a burn victim or something. You just like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
look away. You're so scary looking.
Gotta wonder what their skin texture on their faces actually is. Probably not pleasant.
I picture the Savage Dragon universe, like at least Chicago, with just tons of freaks anyway, so people are just kind of used to it by now.
Here goes another one, just like the other ones.
Yeah, I always kind of thought of him as cute. I mean, they seem like cute.
Yeah.
Like the cute, big-eyed appearance.
Yeah, but if you're sitting there, if any of this, if you're like, okay, we're gonna make the movie now, so yeah, they're gonna look fucked up.
They're gonna CG your nose off. I hope you're okay with that.
Yeah, well.
Work for Voldemort. Fucking.
Yeah, that's the thing. They have like Voldemort faces.
Yeah, it's like he was no charmer. Ladies, how about it? Yeah.
The baby punching through the stomach.
Oh.
Shit. That was.
Classic Savage Dragon.
Oh, how fun! How cool is that? Those 2 pages where the baby's just dragging the corpse behind it.
That was
Holy
wicked.
crap!
Sometimes.
I'm just in my head making the sound of her body slumping down the stairway as the baby's crawling.
I just like doing that kind of page before where it's just like you're just trying to make people go, okay, the scene is over and we're moving on. It's like, oh, she's there, she's depressed, she's just sitting there by herself. You kind of expect like, okay, we're leaving this now. We just got that page which just showed what she was up to. And instead it's like, oh no, we're picking right up from that. It's like, holy, what the hell? That is fucked up, dude.
Seriously
awesome.
though, like just the 2 pages, the way, I don't know, the way you put the panels together, how it flowed, it just is so gross and awesome. It's like, you sure you haven't seen this in real life before or something. It's just insane. Like even the second to last panel where you just see it, kind of like the umbilical cord finally breaks off. It's just so gross and cool.
Yeah, it's funny because like people are like, "Oh my God, Red Wedding, Game of Thrones," and I YouTubed it, and I was like, "This is nothing." I've seen babies drag their dead mothers by their umbilical cords. Like, this is nothing.
The cool thing about Savage Dragon is this isn't the first time we've seen like a baby swinging around on an umbilical cord or something, you know? Like, really?
These ones don't even fly.
Happens all the time.
I've seen things.
Fun times.
So 213, I mean, talk about like things happening issue.
A missed opportunity to have a dragon fin with hair.
That would look horrible.
There were some fun times to be had there, and it's like, what am I doing? But I did want to do that little fake out.
I don't know if you actually listened to our show. I wouldn't expect you to, but me and Raven were the ones who reviewed the previous issue, and we both predicted. I predicted it's going to be a girl, and he predicted. What did you predict?
I said it's going to be a human.
It's going to be human. So we were both right.
And it was funny because like the things I said were like damn near like what Angel. I was like, oh my God, what if Maxine's a slut? And it was one of the Chinese boyfriends, and it was like. when we got the issue, I was like, Jim, we were both right.
Well, what about before that when we were looking at the free comic book day issue and then we were comparing it to 211 and we were looking at the color of the babies changed? Like you changed the color of the two babies from like just the kind of the brighter green to like one bright and one kind of like the olive green. And we're like, that's got to be, you know, one's got to be tiaras and one's got to be angels.
But then I'm looking at the other babies in that picture, and they're all different colors.
Yeah, it was like...
Yeah, that's something I should have done when I had that room full of them, is I really should have made it, like, crystal clear that, no, they can be any number of colors because they're working on them, you know?
Yeah, right.
They're making sure that we've got all the different kinds of people that were there, and we're using, you know, frozen this and frozen that, and just trying to. I mean, they're trying to put their race back together.
Yeah,
they're not sitting there going, you know, let's make this like hillbillies.
Yeah,
you know,
you gotta have a lot of genetic.
They gotta have a variety of the different things that are there, because they need to be able to be breeding with each other. Presumably later on, you know, otherwise that'll really be the end of it all. But,
just have their eyes real close together.
Yeah, they'll be all dead. They all look like Mark Johnson. Peter, I guess it is, right? Peter Johnson.
They're all albino.
Eyes on the same side of their head. Should have thought this through.
So you're like Paul Dragon back in the day. I know you had him have a lot of kids, and so it seems like
not actually this. Yeah, he did, right? He had 3.
Oh, was it 3? I feel like you've talked about.
Well,
more
Angel was his kid too. Okay.
She was human.
4? Fuck, I don't remember.
Yeah.
There was a bunch, but the thing was that at that point, too, is that that's Dragon then was William Johnson.
Yeah.
So his kids didn't have fins.
Gotcha.
None of his kids. They all just looked human. So Angel was, you know, the same as anybody else. And those kids, I don't know if they were Mark and Peter. I forget.
Do you kind of wish that you had Dragon have more kids? I mean, he kind of did in a way. He had a lot. He had Malcolm. He had Krull. He had, if you want to count the Johnson twins, kind of in a way.
Yeah.
And Barry, which is kind of his alternate version. But
yeah, I'm good. But, it's at this point, it's like, time to pass the torch and have them together, and we can always treat this fucking room full of kids as though some of them are his if we wanted to.
Right.
Even though they don't have powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal man, kind of thing.
Does what am I trying to say? Barry does though, but that's because his mom was super powerful.
Barry does, but his dad is the other
Dark
version of Dragon. He's Dark Dragon.
And he was negated.
That Dark Dragon he was negated at that point.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So he doesn't have Dragon's healing ability, but he's still strong and stuff. So it's like, all right, whatever. We got some of that stuff somewhere.
And then, so Malcolm's kids are still the chosen one, but I'm assuming we'll find out how he had a girl or something will come up.
That's just weird. You just think it's so diluted at this point where he's half dragon, and then by the time it gets to the next one, it's like you're just a quarter dragon at this point. So it's like, how much is still going to be there? How much did it get screwed up because Malcolm was part of the mix and his mom had superpowers, and it's like, at what point does it just get too many cooks in the kitchen kind of thing,
Gotcha. I mean, however, Tiana's Tiara's baby came out Krillian-like, and Maxine's came out human-like. So there's something.
I mean, it's and then Angels is, and they just, that was just kind of a weird one too. It's all
they just recovered it as a zygote or something.
It's like,
I gotta ask about that. So did it go through the incinerator, or did it somehow escape before that point? Because that's a pretty robust baby.
That is a damn robust baby. That's undisclosed as to what went on there.
Okay.
But certainly somebody behind the scenes in that process was like, we can do something with this.
There is an unanswered there is an unanswered question about why Fountainhead had both of these kids. So I guess that's to be revealed at a later date.
I would have, yeah.
It's tied in with Dart somehow because now they've got the kids.
Now Dart's just like, I gotta get some of this stuff because, I mean, this is the future right here. I mean,
baby crazy.
It's like, geez, if this is gonna be around for successive generations, I want to make sure that I've got mine.
Well, and then she's betting little Barry there, so who knows what's going on there. How old is Barry?
Oh, he's fucking not old at all. It's pretty much Michael Jackson situation right there.
Wow.
Me and Jim checked the wiki. Pretty sure he's like 9 or something.
Holy crap!
Yeah, he'd be like 9.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
We'll just assume that his mother's side accelerates his aging.
But the thing is, right now, where the book's about a year behind where it should be time-wise, just because of fucking everything that's gone on.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not quite a year behind, but I mean, Malcolm would have graduated a year ago in the spring, but then he gets married and he's got kids, and it's like, I mean, the foursome was like around Christmas of 2015. Or no, 2014, right?
I think so. I don't know. It's been
we established that it was Christmas time. He's throwing the disc into the fireplace.
Right.
It's like, so unless Maxine got pregnant way later than the rest of them, which maybe she did, it's still kind of pushing everything up. I mean, she is a full pregnancy is 9 months.
Yeah.
That's September of last year. So it's like, shit. So that means she's got to get graduate from high school, get married, and go through the police academy and start tossing out kids. Like, this real time thing's not working out real well right now.
That's okay. I mean, you should just go at whatever paces the story requires, and just kind of jump ahead when you can.
There's going to be a little catching up, but it's like I don't know that there's a whole lot of fun to be had when the children are absolute infants.
True.
So
have them kidnapped.
So it's like if I do a jump there where it's like, okay, they're going to be if I decide whatever, they're going to be at the facility for the first 8 months or something. And it's like, well, I can cover that 8 months in one issue. And then, she's taking them home at the end of it. And it's like, oh, the kids are finally coming home, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, all right. Have you named them yet?
No, that's true. None of them are named yet. You should have a writers contest.
Nah, that's not going to happen.
We know that there's 8 on.
It's like, fuck, how are we going to do this? How is this going to work? But
it is pretty. I do like how, Maxine and Malcolm, they're young, and they kind of are showing how naive they are by taking on these 3 superpowered babies, where one just broke someone's finger 2 seconds before, and it's like,
yeah, and it's like this broke somebody's finger, and this one clawed out of her mother.
Yeah,
a while back, It's like it's like this kid's not gotten less strong since then, and it's crawling at that age. That's not right.
It's true.
Having 2 normal kids, it's like a nightmare. Just care of 2 kids. Never mind 3 superpowered infants.
Yeah, no, it's like when you have 2 kids, there's just you're fucked, because it's like, it's like one kid. It's like you can hand them back and forth.
Yeah.
And once you have 2, it's like, oh man, we're outnumbered. We can't go to the bathroom now.
Yeah.
So you gotta watch 2 kids while I'm in the bathroom, okay? And it's like, oh, that's one thing if it's Malcolm, but if it's Maxine by herself and Malcolm's off kicking double headers ass, it's like, wow, how is this gonna work? You gotta have somebody come over and help watch the kids while you're off pounding the piss out of somebody.
You know what this means, though? You need to have a baby's day out issue.
You already kind of did that with Mighty Man.
It's like Mighty Man. It's like, how are we going to make this happen? And then ends up, we got to come up with some way of keeping this kid from turning into an adult, at least for a little while.
I like Maxine's padded suit for the rape prevention class.
What else can she do at that point? It's like, oh, well.
Mighty Man, the baby or the kid that's Mighty Man, I forget her name off the top of my head. She'll be old enough. She'll be a teenager eventually, and she could be strong enough to watch the kids. There you go.
Yeah, but at this point, Betty Bradford is...
she's like 4, right?
Yeah, she's pretty... Well, I would have to look back at the issue number and do some math, but... I don't know that we put a birth date on her. We probably should, just so I can keep track of it. Damn yeah. I mean, I can remember some of this stuff, and it's like it's easy with Malcolm and Angel, just because I just set them around my own children's birthdays. So
yeah.
It's like, okay, we can kind of do that. I think Malcolm's 6 or 7 months older than Joe is, but it's like, all right, I got a fair idea of how old these guys are at any one time. But you start tossing in so many other characters, it just does get a little bit kind of crazy. And then, and especially when you go, oh, that's an adult character, but that adult character hasn't been in the book in 20 years, so maybe you want to have him or her look a little different than you did last time out.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, man.
Would you ever entertain a time jump a la Walking Dead or Invincible?
What, where it's a big time jump?
Skips ahead
Where it's
like
like 5 years later.
Yeah, I don't know about that. That might be a little. I mean, it's only right now. I'm so. It's so regular. It's so much on the calendar anyway. You know, am I gonna? Hey, gosh, it's sure great having this guy as the president when I don't even know who it's going to be yet. You know, there's certain things it's like I can't really predict the future.
Yeah, you could never do that again. You could never like put a president or anything in there.
Yeah, I mean, really, the only thing I could do would just be, I'm going to stall the book for a while. Now I've got to do some catching up.
Yeah.
I've done a little bit of that where I had to catch up. I think 2 years at one point. You know, when Dragon was frozen in Dimension X, he came out. It's like, oh, you guys have rebuilt a lot of stuff. That's good.
Yeah.
Yep.
The statue looks a lot better than the last one.
Yeah, that sort of thing. You know, like I could do that one, but I would rather not do those kind of huge jumps like that. But I'm going to have to here pretty quick, just with the kids being born is when they are, and I want to give them an actual birth date, and that actual birth date is going to be in 2015. There's just no way I can have it take place this year. It will have had to have happened already.
Yeah.
So Barry's even younger.
Yeah, Barry's younger. It's even more fucked up.
Yeah, that was one of those. As I flipped the page, I was like, "Oh my God, Dart!"
Yeah,
the most depraved. Like at first, I was like, I don't know if Dart's been a very good. No, Dart is batshit. She's been fantastic.
Yeah.
She really
no
is
idea what she's gonna do.
I'm sorry, you're both talking over each other.
I just said she really is batshit crazy. She's totally insane.
She's been fun. It's been a fun book to play with. I mean, it's all this stuff. It's like all this stuff is just crap I couldn't do elsewhere. You know, I couldn't get away with any of this stuff.
Nope.
There's none of these kind of characters or relationships or any of this storytelling kind of stuff. Couldn't do this anywhere else, except doing it on your own, where nobody can get in the way.
Yeah, that was literally my thought. Like, both as I saw the baby exploding out of Tierra, as I saw Barry in bed, I was just like, oh, this is Savage Dragon only type material.
Yeah, it's like, how could you do this elsewhere?
You couldn't. You couldn't. They can't have Spider-Woman's butt be on a cover at Marvel.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
don't even get started with
that.
that.
Pressure here. It's like, come on.
I'm just saying, there's a lot they can't do. There's a lot they cannot do.
Well, there's a lot.
And it gets worse by the day. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and there's a lot they're unwilling to do. They could certainly do it if they wanted to, but it's like, oh, we must please our
10 Twitter followers
or whatever, our Twitter followers. Yeah, that was the worst. Is just them caving on something little like that, because then you're empowering the trolls essentially. It's like, really, you're making it so that they can have that sense of, look, we're in control here. We're the editors.
Nothing brings me more joy than Frank Cho's little outrage commissions that you see pop up on Bleeding Cool like every other week. Do you ever see his commissions?
Yeah.
It's so good. The Spider-Gwen going outrage in the background.
Talk about not giving a shit.
Yeah. So yeah, fun issue.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that was actually just a little keynote. I mean, like Craig was saying, all this stuff has happened. Really, this issue was just a fantastic issue. I was like, holy shit! Like Gavin and Adam were like, that was a good issue. Crazy shit happened. Tantrum for a page. No baby in the gut.
Yeah, just let's just do whatever the hell. Yeah, it's been definitely a fun time, just to be able to do this stuff and to be able to finally pay off stuff that has been kicking around for a while is just nice to be able to do that.
Yeah, it's just a lot. And this past year, though, just so much crazy stuff. I mean, it's just you've been on fire with this issue. I've been, this past year, just I mean, stuff's I always enjoy the hell out of the book, but it's like one thing after another. It's just not. It's relentless. It's insane. You know, the deaths, the things happening. I was a little nervous with Malcolm taking over the role and just going back to kind of like a high school thing, but
it's like, yeah, that's not going to last. You know, that's the thing. It's set in real time, and suddenly it's like, well, high school's over, and so quick. You know, you're barely aware that it's like I was sitting there going, yeah, this kind of sucks because I only got so many issues out of high school. I really didn't get that much out of it that I wanted to be able to get out of it. But it's like, here's the reality. He's got to graduate here. So, you know, moving on.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not like the same old recycled thing. You know, we've gone through a lot with Dragon. You've got 200 issues of Dragon or whatever. And it's like, where else can you go? And now it's like all this baby stuff going on. And it's just like, I still have no idea where you're going with any of this. And it's awesome.
And even too, just the way like Malcolm reacts to situations, like it just feels like a different character. And like even like the way he's like, no, I'm gonna go with Maxine. This is my baby. And I was like, I don't really think wasn't Dragon like, nah, you gotta have a blood test. Like I'm just saying, it's completely different.
Dragon would have been way more skeptical.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when she got pregnant, it was like, are you sure it's mine?
Yep.
You know, and it's like, dude, you never say that to anybody.
Right.
Just get that good guy vibe off Malcolm, you know? It's just like, it's funny that, like, people are like, oh, he's a cop just like his dad. He looks just like his dad. I'm like, if you read this book, he is so damn different from his dad. It's crazy. It's weird.
Yeah, no, and whenever his dad's in a scene, he just kind of takes over. It's like,
Yeah.
You know, his personality is so powerful and so different than Malcolm's that when he's on screen, it's like, oh man, that guy's a real different guy from what his dad's been.
Does Dragon's personality pull a lot from your personality?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I see. And so is it hard to kind of develop a main character like Malcolm, whereas you're so used to, like, you're almost writing Dragon like you would kind of talk or say something? And
yeah. I mean, any one of them, you just do something for a while and they find their own voice.
Yeah.
It's not a huge, long, drawn out process. I mean, the real kind of surprise one for me was Maxine. Once she started opening her mouth and talking, it was like, oh fuck, she's awesome.
Yeah.
It's like, well, how come this book can't just be her? So yeah, I was like, because I wasn't sure where I was going with her initially when I had her be his girlfriend. It was like, okay, you know, we tried out Tiara. Tiara didn't quite go the way that maybe I thought it should go or could go or whatever. I wasn't quite feeling it with her. And then as soon as Maxine was in there, it was like, why even try for somebody else? You know, this one's clearly working on every level. So, you know, it's like I couldn't even find a good girlfriend for Dragon after his 20 years. And with her, she just, you know, it was like immediately worked. And it's like, all right, never mind.
Right.
I'm not going to play the will they or won't they thing with these guys because it just seems like it works too well.
Yeah, their personalities are fantastic. Where it's like so different from his dad, where like Maxine is almost dominant and he's just like meek, like in their relationship. I mean,
yeah, it's like, all right, fine, cool.
Yeah, it's like where Dragon was a womanizer. Malcolm's, even though they've had threesomes and stuff, he's more of a one-woman man. You know, it was more of Maxine pushing the threesomes and stuff. He would have been content with just her.
Yeah, let's just do those. Yeah, no, it's been fun. It's been
cool. So can we talk a little bit about the future and talk about Ant and some of what's going on in that realm there?
Yeah, but I don't know a huge amount at this point because I'm really just, it's like I plotted out the first issue. I haven't really drawn a lot of it. I haven't really drawn her enough to feel comfortable drawing her at this point. It's like I'm still kind of finding how I'm gonna render her skin and how when she's in ant form.
Well, I have a question about that. Was the Devil Lady from the last issue, was she like an experiment in like coloring?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. But I stumbled across this statue that I liked the way it looks, and so I've now been sending that out to whoever's coloring Ant, going, look, I want it to look like she's made out of poured red plastic, and it's just shiny
latex.
Yeah, kind of thing.
So for the listeners who aren't too familiar with Ant, you bought the character from Mario Gully back in like 2012.
Yeah, that was a little while ago.
Are you keeping the origin, or are you changing and just using the design?
An origin ever super nailed down?
Okay.
He was kind of playing the whole the thing where how Dragon didn't remember anything and all that kind of crap.
Yeah.
It's kind of playing that amnesia thing too, where like her mind has been wiped, and then it's this and it's that, and it's like over the course of the 11 issues that he worked on, there were 5 or 6 different writers involved. And it was such a clusterfuck where you're just like, well, what counts and what doesn't count and what matters and what doesn't matter. It just seems like you're all over the map with this, and you can't really decide what you're going to do. At one point, her costume, she was putting it on with an aerosol can.
Oh,
it's like,
really?
I mean, I'm not going to use that.
that seems cumbersome.
Yeah, and it's just some of it was kind of awkward, and I don't think Mario was super happy with how it was going. I know that he wasn't really. I don't think he was ever really comfortable writing, and so he was always trying to pull in other people to write it. But then he wasn't finding anybody who did it the way he wanted it done. So it was kind of a mess. So taking it over. I'm kind of just going through and going, okay, well, this part worked and this part didn't. Ignore this, accent this. I don't want to say anything that happened in the book didn't happen, but I'm not necessarily confirming it issue by issue.
Wasn't like the original incarnation like a little girl's dream?
Yeah, well, there's a little girl would write the adventures of a superhero in her daily diary.
Well, there's your out. It was all a little girl's dream.
Yeah, well, it's because in some of the issues, like he had Arachnid show up in issue 2 of his Image book.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Dragon showed up, as did Angel
Spawn,
and Mr.
right?
Plum. Were part of that issue, and Spawn was in an issue, and so it's like if I have her meet Spawn again, do they know each other? And it's like how are you going to deal with this? How are you going to deal with this other? And it's like some questions I gotta kind of answer for myself before I, deal with this stuff.
What are her powers?
She's essentially Spider-Man kind of riff.
Yeah.
She doesn't have the web shooters, but she crawls up walls and stuff like that. Her costume is essentially the kind of like the Venom costume, where it's it crawls all over and whatever.
Yeah.
It's sort of a living thing. It's actually will be in her blood, and so it can seep out of her through her pores and over her body as a sort of a protective coating or whatever. So it unlike Venom, where the costume has to change into clothes or something that it's always there. Her costume kind of sucks into her body and then comes out again. So it's like sweat or something. It can just can kind of come through her skin.
It seems like you're going to be kind of introducing your version starting in Spawn 265.
Yeah,
Looks like
it'll be Spawn first, and then Dragon immediately thereafter, and then the 2 books cross over, and she's part of that when the 2 books cross over, and then shortly thereafter, I hope to launch her in her own book, but we'll see how things are going with everything.
Gotcha.
Because I don't want to do like Spawn, where I'm sitting there with I'm soliciting this comic and it's not even drawn and I haven't thought it through and all that. So I want to have it where it's at least well underway, so I'm not completely under the gun.
Are you feeling ongoing about it or miniseries?
I would like it to be ongoing, but it's just going to depend on sales and stuff like that. So
okay.
If it's going well, I'll just keep on going with it, and if it's not going so well, it'll be like, all right, back to not killing myself. Yeah.
Are you going to be covering? I mean, I know you haven't drawn anything, but in your mind or whatever, are you doing everything like Dragon?
Yeah. Although I expect style-wise it to be more like what I'm delivering to Todd.
Okay.
So it'll be, like Dragon 86 or whatever. There's a recent issue of Dragon not that long ago, 161, where he fights Daredevil. I actually did that the same style as 86, but I include blacks as a color. So,
gotcha. So it's more like the European style, like you did in the Savage.
The European style. And I kind of am thinking of, wouldn't it be cool to try and do it where the only thing really rendered in this is Ant, and the rest of it is just flat color?
Interesting.
I don't know. I'll experiment some to make sure that works before I commit to it, but I kind of like that idea.
That's cool.
Yeah, I could sort of see that. That sounds really cool.
I know Dragon is a character that you are always wanting to be the one doing everything on the book. And, of course, that's why I think every reader would rather have it, too. But is Ant a character where you could only ever see yourself doing it? Like, would you ever, write it and put another person on it?
I mean, again, it would have to be, how are the sales doing on this?
Sure.
Right.
Because at this point, it's easy to get me because, I'm fine. I don't need to get a page rate. I'm fine working back end, and those numbers will work out fine for me. Whether or not somebody else is going to go, I'll take that leap of faith and hope the hell it all works out. It's like that's something to put on somebody, but we'll see how it goes.
Cool.
Sure.
Jim, do you want to, or Raven, go through we had a couple of questions from listeners. If you had a few more minutes, Eric, I don't know how you're doing.
I'm kind of running out of time, but let's try and do this as quick as we can.
Sure. First, real quick, I'm sure this one's fairly short. Matt Hickman asks, what's on your pull list?
I don't have a pull list.
Okay.
Easy enough.
What I do is I go to the store and I just grab whatever looks cool to me and take it home and have my way with it. It's really I get Hellboy every time it comes out. If Chris Baccella's doing a book, I buy that. If Humberto Ramos does something, I'll buy that. So I kind of will follow various artists on various things. And it's like, oh, this looks awesome. I will totally be picking this up at this time. And if there's, nothing looks good to me, then I walk out empty-handed. I get all the Image stuff because I own the goddamn company and I better.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that's in the Image stuff that's like, oh, I'm looking forward to this, and this. It's like I'll read all the Kirkman stuff, and there's a bunch of the books that I'm just like, if I haven't read them yet, I'm putting them aside and making sure that I will read them, sort of stuff.
Yeah.
What's a couple of the Image books that you're really digging these
so
days?
blanking right now that it's just it's kind of, it's like I want to be listing off some titles, and I'm actually just sitting there drawing a complete blank.
That's fine.
Do you read Autumn Lands?
I started it, but I don't like the art that much.
Fair enough.
It's too dense for me. There's like too much stuff filling up and my eye needs a place to rest. So for whatever reason, that one's just, and I hit those first couple pages and there's that storybook kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Just not in.
I get it.
That. But I should. And there's, but fucking, I hate to be down on
Musak.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to be even saying what I don't read. I'd rather.
Gotcha. That's fine.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. What's the other? There was one other question or two.
Take it away, Jim. I feel like you hardly said anything.
Christopher Matthew Jones asks if you're planning to mine the Spawnverse Rogue Gallery during your run.
No.
No. Creating your own.
No. I mean, it's really there may be one showing up in a very, very minor role, but for the most part, I am reseeding this empty lot.
Gotcha.
Good. Cool deal.
Should we let Eric go now? He's a busy man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's the questions we got. So yeah.
Is that it? All right.
Yeah.
We're good.
With a little short notice, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. If you guys want to do this again, you don't have to wait as long as you did. I'm pretty accessible.
Cool.
So, if you feel like, we should ask them this or this, it's like, we can do this in a month or two, and I'm okay with it.
Well, we appreciate that. Thank you very much. That's very generous.
All right, guys. Well, I got to go get dinner.
All right.
So, you want me to read the future?
Yeah, we should. Next time we're going to be talking, of course, about Savage Dragon 214 and probably Spawn 263.
That is correct.
Which will be the first Spawn, of course, in the bold new direction.
I'm super excited for both issues. It's going to be awesome.
Extremely excited. In Savage Dragon 214, the Tantrum entity finds a new host, and Officer Dragon is in for the fight of his life. Erik Larsen brings it. And I don't have the solicitation.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the Spawn one right now. It should be here on Comixology.
Spawn 263, bold new direction.
Yeah, hold on. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it.
Me and Craig are on 1 foot.
Oh, damn it. Okay. Solicitation for Spawn 263. Demons. Period.
Is that it?
That's it.
No.
Well,
I
that's
got it.
all Comixology has, and that should be direct from the solicitation info.
It's demons gone.
Okay, hold on. Where did you find it? Oh, it's demons.
Angels dead.
Okay, hold on. Where are you finding this?
Our Hellspawn, now human with new powers. Just go to the imagecomics.com.
Okay, let's try this one more time. Spawn 263. Demons gone. Angels dead. Our Hellspawn now human with new powers. In the next episode of Spawn Man. Stay tuned, true believers.
Well, they're both exciting. I'm super excited. I'm jazzed. Super jazzed. Can't wait for babies. Can't wait for superpowered babies.
Spawn in cities. Yay.
I love that cover to 263.
This
Sorry.
man, this monster pose.
That's a good cover.
Yeah, it
With
is
just
good.
the people all behind him and him in the foreground.
Yeah, people all shocked looking, like shadowy looking.
Do you not see superheroes in the Spawn universe very often? What are people gawking at?
I don't think they do.
They probably don't, actually. He's probably the only one, unless others show up.
I was gonna say I don't think that like Spawn has a shit ton of heroes just crawling around. Maybe I'm wrong.
Where does he even live? It's New York, right?
I believe so.
Oh yeah, good call. I have no idea where Spawn goes. Where does he go? What does he do?
Well, apparently he doesn't have a civilian life. He's just Spawn 24/7. So he probably
Doesn't he live with like the homeless people?
Oh, that's
know
right.
nothing about Spawn's home life.
At least he
Craig's
did in the
right.
90s.
Craig's right. 90 Spawn slept in alleys and stuff.
What a hero.
His secret lair was a garbage can. A dumpster.
No wonder it took him 263 issues to save his dead wife.
I gotta tell you, I'm so glad that. Oh, thank God. Thank God. Just close that chapter. No.
You know it's not that easy.
Oh, it's got to be. Please, just let it be over.
Issue 300 is just around the corner.
You want to keep that momentum? No more hell stuff. We're done.
How can you not have hell when your character is the Hell Spawn? You know that shit ain't permanent. You know someone can pull that sword at any time.
I hope you're wrong. You might be right.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in for this episode. Of course, like we said, it's been a great how many ever years? Like 5 years? Good God. What the fuck we doing with our lives? Talking about comic books.
It's a waste. It's a waste.
Will never amount to anything. They said once.
I distinctly remember thinking to myself, I was like, how in the hell are they going to make a show just dedicated to one thing? And now
I think everybody said that.
Here we are, 50 episodes later. It's just bananas.
And 6 listeners later.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, listener.
Both of you.
You know what? I wouldn't care if we had one listener, as long as it gives us a chance to chit chat with Eric and other creators, Savage Dragon creators. It's been fun, even if we're just doing it for ourselves.
All been worth it.
Yeah, it's fun. I have fun. Damn it, talking about the things you enjoy is fun.
Oh yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
I'm not saying thanks.